Former presidential hopeful John Edwards finally fessing up to what many people had long suspected. He did, in fact, father a child with a former campaign videographer. This comes as reports say a grand jury is investigating whether he used campaign money to cover up his affair with the woman on the right, Riley Hunter. Let's bring in our legal panel, Bob Massi and Mercedes Cohen. Both are Fox News legal analysts. Mercedes, it's clear Edwards lied prodigiously. But, you know, lying to the media and the public is not a crime. But given how elaborate these lies have been, is there a greater chance in your mind that Edwards will be criminally indicted?
The big issue is they're twofold. One, did he lie under oath? Because certainly, and you're exactly right, Greg, lying to the media, not an issue, not a crime. But did he lie under oath? Number one, there isn't any testimony that I know of thus far that he has given. And same where he said he did not father the child. The second big issue is, did he use campaign donations? Now, we know that one of his campaign advisors had gone to two benefactors and said to them, Edward has a private problem. Will you help them? And they donated $1 million. It really depends on what was expressed to these benefactors. What were they said? What were they told to give that $1 million? Yeah,
and that's where the IRS gets involved. But Bob,
exactly
Riley Hunter received, among other things, about $114,000 from the Edwards campaign. To stay out of prison, does John Edwards need to demonstrate that that money paid to Hunter was the fair market value of her services as a videographer, and how in the world do you do that?
Well, the admission that everybody actually knew that he fathered this child is important, and tracing and following the money, if you will, Greg, is what they have to do. If, in fact, they follow this money trail and they're able to, that being the grand jury, to show that, in fact, it was used as hush money or otherwise, then they have a problem. And remember, the big thing, as Mercedes and you and I, the three of us know, and other lawyers, getting the indictment, getting the conviction is going to be two different things, and that could be the tough part here. The indictment part of this case may be easier than ultimately getting a conviction because of the role she played as the videographer.
Mercedes, Edwards' top aide, Andrew Young, is now coming out, I think it's next week, with a pretty scathing tell-all book. And in it, he reportedly claims that John Edwards promised to take care of him, Young, for life in return for falsely claiming he was the father of the baby. Now, if that was done for the sole purpose of obstructing a law enforcement investigation or suborning perjury, that's a crime, isn't it?
Oh, boy, Greg, you're on to something. That is definitely the issue that Edwards has to be very concerned about, because we know that Young is extremely angry. Young has already said publicly, Edwards betrayed me. He told me that I would do this, and I would do this as a favor, as a personal friend. He's been in Edwards' life for over a decade. He betrayed me in that regard, and he shunned me aside when the campaign was over. So he's coming forward. He's extremely angry. It all depends on what he says. If there is any indication that there was this obstruction or the subordination of this suborning perjury, for certain, Edwards has a big issue, and a criminal act may take place.
You know what, Bob? You know what tips me off here is that the report that Andrew Young got immunity before he appeared before the grand jury. I don't know if that's true or not, but if it's true, does that suggest to you that Edwards may well have tried to obstruct justice or suborn perjury? Otherwise, why do you give immunity to Young?
Well, let me put it to you this way. Obviously, Edwards is the target, and they will do whatever they can to get him. And if that was necessary to show subordination of perjury or obstruction of justice in any way, then yes, I mean, that's something they will use. The thing that troubles me, or not, I guess not troubles the right word, is, you know, Edwards, I actually watched this guy years ago in a trial. This guy was a high-line trial lawyer, very smart guy. When you surround yourself with people and you're having this kind of conduct, you eventually, and you go into the limelight, you're going down for the count. But yes, the immunity issue's there because they want him. It's not unusual, but the bottom line is, if that pans out, he could have some major problems, no question.
He was described as a slick lawyer. Go ahead, quickly, Mercedes.
But there's a lot of sentiment for Edwards, though, and so the bottom line may be, if they do go to trial, I think Bob is exactly right. If he goes to trial, there may be a real issue of getting a conviction, because there is tremendous sentiment in Edwards' favor.
Did you guys see Edwards' approval ratings in a recent poll? I think Osama bin Laden does better than Edwards. We'll leave it at that. Bob Massi.
But a lot lot of issues. It's a personal issue and a personal affair.
All right,
Greg,
guys.
that may be why he's in Haiti right now, to get the popularity up.
Yeah, good luck. Bob Massi, Mercedes Colwin, thanks very much.
Thanks, Greg.